Welcome to the second video of module 6. Here we are discussing about the security implementations in SAN. Okay, now just before that we have to go into the security implementation in storage networking as a whole. So we have to consider three main implementations, that is SAN security implementations, NAS security implementations, and IP-SAN security implementations. So in this video we'll be discussing the security implementations in SAN. So SAN is storage area network, and we are discussing FC-SAN, that is the fiber channel SAN. So the most commonly used SAN security methods are mainly for the loon masking and zoning, then security in FC switch port, then switch wide and fabric wide access control ACL, and logical partitioning of a fabric, that is the virtual SAN. Okay, now the first one, that is loon masking and zoning. So we are discussing about security in SAN. Okay, so how we provide security? So by masking is one way, loon masking, that is loon is nothing but the logical unit number. Okay, and it is a logical abstraction between the physical storage device and our host application. Okay, so it is a logical abstraction of some physical device. Okay, and it will be having a loon ID. Okay, and loon masking, as it is, allows specific loon to be accessed by only a specific host, and thereby it is hidden from the other host. So it is the way providing masking, which means it is a way of providing security. Okay, so just go through it. Then next is zoning. Zoning means you concentrate certain hosts only, okay, into a zone. So zoning is a logical separation of traffic between the host and the resources. So it enables nodes, that is initiators or targets within a fabric, to be logically segmented into smaller groups, and that is meant for better security, isolation, etc. Okay, so you have zones, different zones, a smaller group, and within a fabric, and this provides security. So you find that when FC nodes are logged into a fabric, by default it can communicate to every other node which is logged into the same fabric. Okay, that is within that zone. The default behavior of a switch gets us into issues like security. Now when we implement this zoning, there are some issues, mainly three, that is security in the non-critical host or unwanted host may also have access to the critical storage controller. Okay, if by some means they get to a fabric, they will be logged on to that fabric, so an unwanted host can intrude. Then isolation, lack of isolation between FC nodes open potential risk of having unauthorized access. So once you're on the same fabric, you will get the access, so isolation cannot be provided. Then bandwidth congestion. So if zoning is not configured, the fabric controller sends an RSCN, that is the registered state change notification. That is, if zoning is not done properly, then a change in state notification is sent to all the nodes in the fabric, and this causes congestion in the network. Okay, so that is an issue. Then next type of security mechanism in SAN is securing FC switch ports. Okay, so in SAN, how are the switch ports secure? So it can be implemented by mainly four, that is port binding, port lockdown and lockout, then persistent, port disable. So what each are? Now port binding, that means it limits the devices that can be attached to a particular switch port, so in a way it provides security. So these are in the view of ports. Okay, next is port down, port lockdown and port lockout. that is to restrict the switch's port type of initiation, so which all can initiate, which all ports can be initiated. So it is a lockdown kind of restriction or providing security. Okay, then typical variants of the port lockout ensures that the switch port cannot function as an E port. Now we have studied that there are different types of ports. So different variants of the security mechanism would make only certain types of ports to function. Maybe it allows only some F type to function, or E type to function, or does not allow E type to function. So variations are there. Next is the persistent port disable, which prevents a switch port from being enabled even after a switch reboot. So that is another mechanism. Okay, all this in the respect of ports. Next is switch wide and fabric wide access control. We use the access control list here. That is, network security can be configured on the FC switch using access control lists. Okay, on the fabric by using fabric binding mechanism. So you have a list of those who can connect to the fabric. Okay, so ACL incorporate the device connection control and also switch connection control policies. And the device connection control policy will specify which all host bus adapters HBAs and which all storage ports can be connected to a particular switch, and thereby how security is there is it prevents unauthorized devices from accessing it. Okay, that is the device connection control policy. Now in the switch control policy, it specifies which switches are allowed to be connected to a particular switch and preventing the unauthorized switches from joining it. Okay, now fabric binding, we have seen port binding. Now fabric binding, it prevents an unauthorized switch from joining any existing switch which are in the fabric. Okay, then there is also another access control, which is the role based access control, RBAC, and it provides additional security to the SAN by preventing unauthorized activity. So it is based on the roles. Okay, and for example, it enables the security administrator to assign roles to users, and those can explicitly specify the access rights. Okay, the security administrator have powers to assign roles, and only those what do you call those in the list of the role based access can access. Okay, next is logical partitioning of the fabric. So it is also the virtual SAN. So the figure is there, and it is easily explained in the figure. You can see that virtual SANs enable the creation of multiple logical SANs over a common physical SAN. So there will be one common physical one, and the multiple logical SANs can be generated. Okay, you can see in the figure. Okay, and vSAN 10, vSAN 20. 10 is for engineering and 20 is HR, and the host over here having the logical hypervisor. Okay, and these vSAN 10 and 20 are connected by an FC switch. Okay, and you can see the FC switches, the storage array is connected. Now going to the explanation. They provide the capability to build larger consolidated fabrics and still maintain the required security and isolation between them. So security is still retained. The figure shows the logical partitioning of fabric using virtual SAN. So we have a SAN administrator that creates the vSANs. Okay, and each of them are connected with switch ports. In this example, the switch ports are distributed over two vSANs. You can see that is vSAN 10 and 20 for engineering and HR. Then zoning should be done for each vSAN to secure the entire physical SAN. Then there will be only one active zone at a time. Okay, and so that is for security purpose. Then vSANs minimize the impact of fabric-wide disruptive events, and that is for the management and control traffic on the SAN does not traverse the vSAN boundaries. Okay, so that is the use of having vSANs. They minimize the impact of the disruptive events along the fabric. Okay, so concluding, it is a cost-effective mechanism. Okay, so these are the four security mechanisms in SAN. Okay, now an essay question, that is explain the defense in-depth architecture of SAN. We had come across defense in-depth architecture a little earlier in the previous video. It is a KTU question, very important, so I'll just brief it for you. So the storage networking environments always are a target for unauthorized users. Okay, so we definitely have to have immense security. So defense in depth concept is actually multiple layers of integrated layers of security being provided. Okay, so if the security of one layer is compromised, still there are still layers which provide security. Okay, so it is also known as a layered approach to security because there are multiple measures for security at different levels. Okay, so you have a figure. The figure illustrates various zones. So this is the figure. You have a LAN. Okay, this is the LAN which is connected to different zones. That is security zone A by the administrator, security zone B by the firewall, then C, that is access control switch, D, host switch, then E, it is again switch router, then F, distance extension, G, switch storage. So we find that the comprehensive list of protection strategies that must be implemented in various security zones are listed below. Zone A is for authentication at the management console, and what is done in Zone A is it restricts management LAN access to authorized users only. Okay, and it locks down the MAC addresses. Okay, then Zone B is the firewall. It blocks inappropriate traffic by filtering out addresses that should not be allowed on your LAN and other screening. Okay, then Zone C, access control, and it is to authenticate users or administrators of FC switches using various algorithms, radius and chap. Okay, then Zone D, it is to restrict fabric access to legitimate hosts by implementing ACLs, etc. Then Zone C, again, it is switch to switch or switch to router, protect traffic on fabric by using any of these. Then Zone F is for distance extension, so it is the one that uses encryption in flight data. Okay, just go through it. And Zone G is for the protection for the storage arrays on your SAN. So I'm winding up this video here, so you can see very clearly the figure, and the explanation is very much understandable from the figure. Okay, thank you.